Seiko is a little bit like Volkswagen, the car group to me. Volkswagen makes some of the best middle to upper range passenger cars in the world, with everything from small city cars to excellent sports cars. But the group also owns Audi, Lamborghini, Porsche, Bentley, Ducati, not to mention Skoda, Seat and Cupra. The DNA of Volkswagen is quite prevalent in particularly Skoda, Seat and Cupra. But you're not here for cars, so let me refocus. When the average person thinks of Seiko, they probably think of the window displays of soulless shopping centers and cheap quartz watches. But to you and me, we know there is so much more to the brand. We have the Seiko offshoot Orient watches, and then there's an endless range all the way from great value Seiko 5 automatic watches to the mid-range Presage, SPB and outright divers. And then the extremes of Grand Seiko and the Japan-only Creda. But honestly, there is one Seiko sub-brand that rarely gets discussed on watch channels or amongst fans, and that is Astron. And I think I know why. Astron to me was very much a highly priced, oversized and over-engineered quartz offering that left much to be desired in the looks department. They're not necessarily unattractive, but they tended to lean towards the Homer Simpson car, with throwing everything in that the people may want, but at a price that nobody wanted to pay. This all changed to me when I discovered the Seiko Astron SBXD009, or in Australia SSJ009. Here's a moderately sized, extremely capable watch with specs to rival the Grand Seiko Quartz offering, a comparison I'll keep making here, and it requires absolutely zero maintenance ever. You might be here since you're just curious or even screwing up your nose at the Astron range, but I'm warning you, there's a chance that what I'm about to show you may change your mind and lighten your wallet. Let's get stuck in. Now there are chapter markers in this video if you want to skip past like operator movement, so keep that in mind. And I hope you watch as much of this video as possible. Thank you. An elephant in the room here is why would you get this over a G-Shock that's also solar powered and fairly self-sustainable also? Well, they are either controlled by a radio signal in the northern hemisphere or Bluetooth everywhere else. And also, their fancier titanium and special models are the same price as this one, despite not having what is, by all accounts, a pricey GPS unit that is self-powered via solar. So the value is there. With Astron in general, I feel size and weight is so topical, so I'm going to get stuck right into just that. The diameter here is a very civilized 39mm and lug to lug is 45.5mm. Lug width is a mildly inconvenient 21mm and is 12.5mm thick. Thanks to its all titanium case and bracelet, it's 95 grams only, and we get a 200 meter water resistance. And I have to say this, a power reserve of 17,532 hours. The dial is what all of us will inspect first with a new watch, and what is interesting here is that there is no crystal covering it. Well, there is, but it has easily the most impressive AR coating of any watch I've ever handled. In most cases checking the time, it's like all you see are those hands, the indices and a deep, very dark blue dial. And there's nothing else to distract other than a simple date function. Speaking of indices, these are thick and applied, floating slightly over the dial, with ridges that I've seen on a few Grand Seiko models to date. They are also recessed slightly in the retort. The angles and polish not only catches the light regularly, but tends to do so in a slight rainbow colored way that is ever so subtle. There is also a lume pip at the base of each one, which is something you don't get in most Grand Seiko models. The dial is textured, and if you inspect it very closely, you can see that it's slightly transparent since this is obviously a solar watch. I wouldn't call the dial pretty, but it's dark enough to pass as steel or titanium. It does look bluish to me, but it's probably black. On this note, the Seiko logo is applied while the Astron and GPS Solar is printed at just above the 6. It's not too large, and I think the restraint on offer here speaks to the audience for this particular model. The hands is another Seiko staple treatment where one half of the bevel is brushed and the other polished. It means that legibility is absolutely spot on. They are not quite Grand Seiko extreme polish and quality, but it's very close. Having a lot of lume applied here helps to make this a piece that will tell you the time night and day. One small complaint is that the seconds hand does not hit the seconds markers perfectly at around 1/4 of the dial, which is a big claim to fame of the Grand Seiko Quartz models. That would have been a slam dunk for me. The date complication is framed and easy to see as well with more white on black. This is also a complication that will always, and I mean always, be correct. Put the watch in a box for 10 years, bring it outside and put it in the sun for a couple of minutes and you'll be good to go. On that note, it does have a power reserve of a jaw drop in 2 years. So bring it out in 18 months and it's still showing you the right time and there's no battery to change. So considering this is not a chronograph and there aren't approximately 42 complications like the bigger Astron brothers, what's with the buttons on the side, you might ask? There are a couple of silly things like manually triggering a leap second adjustment, but probably the one you might use is if you travel to a new time zone, you can trigger the new time adjustment early by holding the lower button for 3 seconds, which will initiate a GPS sync. FYI, the watch will do this every day anyway if you're outside in the sun, but this is if you want to initiate this yourself. You can also pull the crown and set the time yourself if you want to perhaps adjust to another time zone ahead of time, and this will give you the ability to skip ahead to all the predetermined time zones, so not random in-between times. Pulling the crown one step is 15 minutes increments, another step is 1 hour increments. And finally, checking the power reserve is just a matter of clicking the 4 button once to show you where it's at. A 6 means full, 4 means half, and 2 means low. For me personally, I'll probably never use any of that, and I don't need to. Since I do travel a bit and even live in a country that's also a continent, I'll likely initiate GPS sync upon landing, but that's likely it. The case is made from titanium and has Seiko's super hard coating and ceramic bezel. There are plenty of shapes and angles here with an almost cushion style design, which I think makes it look quite muscular. The sharp angle lugs means that this should fit almost any wrist size. It's comfortable to wear and very attractive in my eyes. The titanium 3-fold bracelet has some good and bad features. It's also quite attractive and not a hair nipper, but there are no micro adjusts on its buckle and it's the pin and collar system. However, it does have a quick micro adjust buckle, which I've not seen in any other low to mid-range Seiko watches, and it's easy and fast to use. I'll likely put this on an Erica strap quite soon, since I don't love hard bracelets. But if you're a fan, your only issue here is getting that perfect fit. One bit of trivia about titanium is that it adjusts to the skin's temperature extremely quickly, so it's a good option in cold temperatures. And it's also an allergy-safe metal. On the back of the watch, we get a bit of a spec sheet. Again, this is a movement that will keep to ± 15 seconds per month if it doesn't sync to GPS. If it does, it's as accurate as a watch can be, down to a 4-year leap second level. The 3x22 GPS solar movement is the most compact one that Seiko have managed to manufacture. It does require a mildly inconvenient servicing every 50 years or so, and I've added a reminder for myself for the 15th of May 2073 because I'll most definitely aim to be alive still. Seiko's Lume Bright is reliably brilliant. Let's check it out. In conclusion here, the greatest compliment I can give this watch is that it's not left my wrist since I bought it. It's just such a handy grab-and-go watch that looks excellent, has all the extra little features us watch lovers want, like a hard coating and ceramic bezel, not to mention great lume and quality construction. Being a quartz watch, it ticks and doesn't sweep, and the seconds hand could be a tad more accurate in its ticks, but other than that, it is worth the asking price of around $2,000. This is a watch that will look after itself until the end of time and then some. It's the ultimate go anywhere, do anything watch, and I would like to think that it now has a permanent slot in my collection. So what about you? What do you think? Did this video make you consider getting an Astron watch? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching as always. I'll see you next time.